F-Zero was great on the SNES. In fact, it's one of my favorite racing games ever, so I was excited to see a sequel on the Nintendo 64. I think the first thing that stands out when playing F-Zero X is the sheer number of racers on the track at once. 30 in fact. This was a pretty exciting accomplishment for the hardware, though the graphics did suffer a little bit because of this, but I think they look pretty decent. A lot of the music is remixed versions of songs from the original game, and they sound pretty good, though I still prefer the 16-bit versions. There are a lot of racers to choose from and a nice variety of tracks, so the replay value is pretty high. For me, it's not the best F-Zero in the series, but definitely a must-have for any racing fan. Hot Wheels Turbo Racing was released in 1999 and honestly was quite the pleasant surprise for me, a little bit of a sleeper. I saw this game a lot as a kid in game stores, but it wasn't until my cousin got this game that I actually played it. The tracks are sort of half Hot Wheel tracks, half themed world. It's strange, but it works. The levels are filled with loop-the-loops and ramps and all that good stuff. And you can perform tricks in the air like flips and barrel rolls, and it adds a bit more to the excitement of the game. While there isn't a huge amount of tracks in the game, there is a very large selection of cars to choose from, which is awesome because every vehicle is based off of a real Hot Wheels car. Each vehicle also comes equipped with a turbo meter that you can fill by performing stunts successfully. This is a pretty straightforward arcade-style racer. There's not a whole lot to it, but there's definitely some fun to be had with this game, especially at its price point. This game made my list for many reasons. I know it's far from perfect, but damn it, I love this game. Monster Truck Madness 64 first grabbed my attention as a wrestling fan, believe it or not, because it not only features iconic monster trucks like Gravedigger and Bigfoot, but also some WCW themed trucks like Hollywood Hogan, complete with the 24-inch pythons, the Outsiders, Bret Hart, and even a Sting truck. Now, this was pretty damn badass, especially since WCW was the top dog of wrestling at the time. Now, this isn't your typical monster truck game. It's definitely an arcade-style racer with upgrades like the ability to jump, shoot missiles, and even a hovering power-up. It's quite the far-fetched racing game. It's also not perfect as far as collision physics go. Sometimes when your truck ties up with another, you'll randomly go flying across the track. Now, this kind of crap gets old fast, but if you can get over it, it's actually a pretty fun experience. Even though it's an arcade racer, don't get me wrong, these trucks feel like gigantic monsters on the track. They're definitely heavy feeling. They slide all over the place and they don't brake very well. The levels are a bit on the bland side, and the generic rock music that loops over and over gets on my nerves, but the C buttons make fart and burp noises, which is cool. Is this game revolutionary? No, not at all, not even close. But I had many a fun Friday nights with this game as a youngster, and it still brings me a good time every time I pop it in. Midway was known for its extremely fun arcade racers in the 90s, and OffRoad Challenge was one of them. When I heard it was making its way to the N64, I was pretty excited. It may not be as good as the arcade version, but back then, what really was? OffRoad Challenge feels a bit like Cruisin' USA, but with 4x4s. The tracks, music, physics, and overall appearance of the game all support this opinion. It's just a very fast-paced checkpoint racer with nitro pickups and interactive track obstacles. It features 4 trucks to choose from with 4 quote-unquote hidden vehicles that can be revealed by simply pressing the C buttons. I've always had a lot of fun with this game, but definitely in short spurts as there aren't many game modes or tracks, and still, OffRoad Challenge, in my opinion, is a must-own for the console. I have pretty fond memories of the original Ridge Racer for PS1. My friend received a PlayStation for Christmas back in 1995. Actually, he got 2. See, his parents were split up and they weren't exactly fond of each other, so neither of them knew that they both got him the same gift. Anyway, I didn't have a next-gen console yet, and I was blown away with Ridge Racer, which was the only game he had, so we played it a lot. Fast forward 5 years and the first Ridge Racer for the Nintendo 64 finally makes its debut. It features tracks from the original game as well as tracks from Revolution. Oh, and some exclusive tracks to this version, but I'm not so sure if I love these tracks all that much. One feature that's cool is you can change the drift and collision modes, which had become really dated and frustrating after the 1995 PS1 release. It's not a perfect Ridge Racer, but it's Ridge Racer for the Nintendo 64, and I'll take it. I always have a fun time playing a few laps in this game. I already did a review of San Francisco Rush, which is one of my favorite games for the console, and I've been dying to review Rush 2, but with all the games on my list of games to review, I figured I would just condense my Rush 2 review into this video. Rush 2 picks up right where SF Rush left off. The game engine is pretty much untouched. A lot of the cars are the same and the graphics haven't changed at all, but boy, can they make so much recycled stuff feel brand new with just some fresh levels. This time you have added across the entire US of A, in popular locations like LA, New York, Vegas, Hawaii, and more. I always appreciated the level of detail that goes into each level, from the buildings to the landscaping and especially the shortcuts. That's probably one of the most entertaining factors in Rush 2. The shortcuts come quick and they can lead to pretty big epic explosions, but once you master them, they're worth the reward. Along with the regular levels, there are a few bonus levels like the half-pipe course and the stunt track. Now this stunt track is where most of my gaming took place on this as a kid. This damn level sucked me in for hours. I mean, I couldn't stop jumping, flipping, and blowing up cars. Oh, and the bizarre cheats this game offers, like the low gravity and extreme speed, only make this stunt level that much more entertaining. There's also an unlockable level that takes you through the offices of Midway as a little shrunken car, which is fantastic and surprisingly detailed for the 64. I absolutely love this game, and I honestly can't choose between this and the original when asked which I prefer more. They both brought me entertainment way beyond expectations and still keep me playing frequently. The final game in the original run of the Rush series was San Francisco Rush 2049, released in the year 2000. I can appreciate what they were trying to do here, and I can appreciate their return to its roots as far as the game returning to its original location of San Francisco, but I would rather have seen like a Rush World or something of that sort, you know what I mean? An international Rush. I mean, can you imagine jumping over the Eiffel Tower in a Rush game? That would have been awesome. Either way, this game is still Rush, which means it's a good game. The game engine hasn't been tweaked much, other than the fact that each car now has wings. Yes, wings, which can be deployed while in the air, enabling you to perform stunts. There's a good mix of classic and futuristic cars here, including a rocket-powered vehicle. While the levels are nice and detailed, the track designs don't impress me like the first two games. It feels like not as much thought went into these. The graphics haven't changed much, and the soundtrack is mostly now just kind of dance club style of music. Stunt mode is new, but just leaves a little something to be desired. It doesn't impress like the stunt track in Rush 2 did, but I think by the time this game came out, people were already close to being done with this generation of consoles and ready for the PS2s and GameCubes of the world to be released. It's a solid game and it's worth picking up for sure, but it just doesn't quite stack up against its predecessors. Well, I'm sorry, but that's actually it for now. That doesn't mean that these are the only good races for the Nintendo 64. These are just some of my favorites. So let me know what some of yours are. And as always, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more Spotlight reviews coming soon.